Hello, Strivers. Hey there, Thrivers. Thank you for joining me for afternoon tea and this episode of Ask Aunt Bougie. So, I'm doing something new here every Tuesday and Thursday, late afternoon, early evening, basically when you would have afternoon tea, where you're going to be able to ask any of your style and your etiquette questions in the live chat, and I'll give you some pro advice on how to handle it. So, most of the questions that I'll do today, they have been pre-submitted, and I'm answering them, and then you can give me some additional questions. I will be doing the live premiere an hour after I do actually record this. So you'll be able to, we can elaborate on any additional questions you have on these, also track any kind of questions you have for me to do either Thursday or next week, because we'll do this every single week. And then I'll be able to get to yours as well. So I'm quite sure, we've all noticed that the birds are out, the bees are out, the dogs are running amok. By all means, there's pollen all over the cars. The trees are in full bloom. Got my roses right off the bushes. Loving it. Loving spring. And our first holiday weekend is here. So, what does that mean? We typically get together with our respective families, friends, within our communities. But anytime we get together, there's a little, should I do this? Should I do that? What's the best way to go about this? So, all of the questions that we have today are going to circumvent around how we mentally, physically, socially, and of course, fashionably prepare for those weekend outings. And, any questions that people kind of need to know, we're going to cover all of that as well. So get ready. Don't be shy. Tap into that chat for the comments right along with me. I'll be watching this along with you and responding in real time. And let's get to it. So, question one that was submitted to me was, what should I bring to my friend's family home? They recently started dating, not quite sure what to bring, but wants to make sure that they do leave a good impression. So, as we know, first 7 seconds, that's as long as we have to make that first impression. So, whether we're walking in with some food or whether we have a wonderful floral arrangement that we're bringing, as a gift, a hostess gift, these all matter. What are we wearing, right? So, excellent question. What I would say is, first of all, what do you bring? What do they ask you to bring, if anything at all? Not every gift is something that is welcome. So, definitely, you can reach out to whoever your friend that did invite you along. You can also reach out to the hostess, thank them for, inviting you, allowing you to come to the celebration as well, and ask if there's anything that they'd like you to bring. Why do we ask? A lot of people are very organized. They have a planned menu and they only want what goes along with that theme, perhaps, or they just like their food. They just want to be in complete control of it. No shame, no problem, no judgment there. I like a well orchestrated evening as well, right? So perhaps if they say they don't want you to bring anything at all, or if it's a potluck, right? A potluck being that you do bring whatever it is that you'd like to bring, you can find out what other people are bringing. So there's not five different variations of potato salad. And nobody, I mean, I like potato salad, but not that much. Not that to have five different people's, right? So make sure that you definitely ask. Outside of that, beverage, right? So you can always bring a beverage, whether, of course, find out, is it a dry family? Are they not participating in alcohol? If that is the case, you probably do not want to bring alcohol to someone's home that does not drink. It's just a matter of respect, right? Um, so definitely find that out. If they are quite all right with that, they can maybe let you know what the menu is, and then you can find a nice wine pairing that would go along with that. Or say if you're doing, I don't know, seafood, maybe you can make like a nice rum punch, right? For everyone to enjoy as well. So there are some options there. You don't want to do some things we don't want to do. These are the things that we can avoid by all means. And all of these things I have experienced as well firsthand. Please do not bring food in a Ziploc bag. Why? Why, you ask? It's easy, it's convenient. You don't have to worry about leaving your containers there or washing them out. Why wouldn't I do that? Let me give you two top reasons. A, it's unappetizing. Imagine a spinach dip. just in a bag, creamy, just moving around. It's just unappealing visually, right? You want to make sure, like, say, if you went to a restaurant and they just kind of threw a bag of queso your way to dip your nachos in, you probably, no matter how good the queso is, you probably wouldn't want to indulge in it, right? Same thing. We actually eat visually with our eyes before we ever actually internalize it. So make sure that you don't do the whole Ziploc bag thing. Also, the hostess, I'm quite sure, hopefully, right? I'm sure they prepared as well. So why bring a plastic bag when someone has Corningware out? Or ceramics, or something where they've actually put effort into. So, although it's easy, although it will definitely protect our investment of our whether, whatever kind of containers that we do use for plating food, really, I do advise against it. So, rule number one, Ziploc bag, no go. Okay. Our next thing, we want to make sure, oh, the second reason, I didn't give you the second reason. Visually unappealing, that's enough for me. The second reason is, we'll say maybe perhaps the hostess doesn't have any additional servingware, right? No more serving bowls. Now, what do you do? Now they have to be the one to serve it out of a bag because you didn't bring a bowl or a bag or something else that it can be served out of. So just being considerate and looking out for the hostess as well, because you don't know their situation if they do have an additional bowl or plate to actually plate it on, okay, and serve it from. All right, our next thing we want to make sure that we are not doing, if we are bringing food along, make sure that you don't bring a food in a disposable container, so like our little plastic Ziplocs or Tupperware. I don't know who really actually, people still call it Tupperware, but I haven't seen an actual item of Tupperware in many, 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 many decades. But I digress. Okay. The reason you don't really want to use that, of course, it's inexpensive, same kind of situation. We don't care if that no longer, we don't get to take it home, if it doesn't return with us. It is able to, be served from, but it goes back to that same adage. Someone's actually taken the time and the care to have a certain aesthetic that they have placed, right? Now there's just a bowl, a plastic bowl, it's just it's unappeasing, definitely visually. So don't do that. Now what can we do, right? I told you what not to do. Don't do that. Oh no, no. What can you do instead? How about just drop off, go to the dollar store. I know at the dollar store you can find glass containers, receptacles, bowls, plates, platters, right? That are going to cost you nothing costs a dollar anymore. It's like, what, $1.99? I don't know. It's been a while, right? I go for the beef patties, but yes, you can get something that's very affordable, that's going to be aesthetically pleasing on the table as well. Okay. And then you can also leave it back, leave it behind. Not really worried about $1.99. Okay. So that's really what I would say to do. Make sure that you aren't doing those food container bags, or you're not even using a disposable container, especially like a holiday dinner. People may have more elevated china or dishware or flatware that they are using. Perhaps if it's a barbecue, you may be able to get away with it, right? But still, you don't know. We're talking about your own branding, your own image. What kind of image and brand do you want to leave behind? I would go with the Dollar Tree glassware rather than a disposable baggie or disposable plastic container. Okay. Excellent. So, next, what we're going to think about is a hostess gift, right? What else should you bring? So, you can definitely bring a hostess gift. This is definitely tried and true. Even if they say, no, 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 just bring yourself, just come, like we have everything. You still want to make sure that you do actually bring something, whether it be a candle, whether it be a floral arrangement. It can even be, a casserole dish that you picked up for the dollar store and you brought like your item in and you leave them, that there for them. If you've been to their home before, maybe get something that works along with the servingware that that they do have. So now it's just an addition to their collection that they definitely would be pleased to have. Something else that you can do, like we said, a bottle of wine. You can also bring liquor if they do drink. Now, when bringing a hostess gift, do bear in mind that that gift stays there. Also, you're not bringing that hostess gift for you to enjoy and partake in. All right. Now, this is a touchy one. A lot of times people will bring that lovely bottle of Veuve Clicquot, the champagne that they absolutely love. And like, okay, we're gonna pop open the bottle of champagne. If you brought two, by all means, that's one for you to consume along with them and their guests. And then the other is their gift for them to do as they please. So definitely do bear that in mind. It's kind of also like, when we were all in elementary school, if we have a party, if we're sharing something with someone, you may want to know how many people are coming to the party as well. So if there's 15 people, I'm not just going to bring one bottle of champagne, right? Because everybody should at least get a glass. So make sure you are bearing that in mind as well. If that isn't the case and you're not looking to splurge and spend quite that way, have your glass of champagne. Let's say after the party, because let's not encourage drinking and driving when you do return home. Or, if you're not going to buy, enough bottles so everyone can enjoy, just bring that bottle for them so they can enjoy it on their own time as well. So keep that in mind. Some other great hostess gifts that you can definitely think about bringing. How about some flowers? So this was a free gift, right? All it cost were us actually planting the rose bushes years and years and years and years ago. But you're able to just go, we have vases. Of course, the vase you would leave behind with the person, but how many of us have tons of vases under the kitchen counter? I know we do, right? We collect them, we store them up. But this is a great way just to have a free gift. Took no more than 15 minutes to clip the roses, put it together. It takes time, it takes effort. It also shows that it's thoughtful. You actually thought about the hostess, just like they thought about you when preparing everything. So that's also a wonderful hostess gift that you can bring. Also, think about maybe a family gift if it's more of a cookout or, they do have children. I mean, the children can enjoy a bottle of tequila. So perhaps like say if it's a cookout barbecue, maybe you can bring I don't know, a game that everybody can play together, whether it be categories or if it's some kind of game like where you can all play together or badminton or whatever. Okay. So thinking about like a family gift as well, it also just adds a little bit of excitement to the party. So that's what I would say for hostess gifts. So everyone jump down in the chat now and think of any like hostess gift that you brought or someone's like given you as well. Candles are a great idea as well. Maybe something like a bath, but, if you're doing like something bath, it can be intimate. It depends on who you're giving it to for sure. But it's a nice way to, unwind after hosting. But then also you need to know people's allergies. So always bear that in mind as far as hostess gifts. You don't want to get too personal unless you are personal, with that person. Otherwise, it can be taken the wrong way. So jump in that chat. Any other questions that you have around hostess gifts or what to bring, food, things that you've experienced? I would love to see it. And I'll chat right back with you in there. All right. So, like we said, just remembering everything that you bring, come bearing a gift, but not all gifts are created equal. So, some things we don't want to do. I have had the experience of someone bringing a baked good and they figured they'd sample it or taste it. I don't know, to see if it was good and there was a slice out of the pie. Please, please, please never do that. If you are going to taste, of course, we should taste something or sample it beforehand. But how about with the same batter, you make yourself one for you and your family? Never bring something that is unsealed, uncorked, tasted, or otherwise sampled to an event or to a party. Believe me, it happens, and you don't want it to be you. People will definitely talk about it. People will look at it and like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they did that, right? So not everything is something that you want to bring by all means. And like I said, it does bear repeating again. If you bring something, it does stay there. The rules of etiquette do dictate that you will leave it there. All right, question two, the no shoes rule. So I don't know if you can see, but I do have my shoes on. I don't wear shoes on in the house. This is more just for an aesthetic appeal right now at this point, with shooting the video. But we all know that this happens. We've all been in this situation where we go to someone's home and it's like, take your shoes off in the garage. There are many customs and cultures that they do definitely observe this. So you want to make sure that you are respectful. Thank you for that. Just wanted to get up, turn, the blinds, the sun setting, crazy glare right there. So thanks for your patience. But going back to the no shoe rule, I don't wear shoes in the house, right? Um, if I just need it for aesthetic reasons, like right now, definitely, because it would be unappealing if I just had my feet out, showing you in this kind of a forum by all means. So there are times when you would wear shoes. Now, once I get up and done with this, they go off. Or if I was to run to the ladies' room, or if I was to run over to the downstairs to the kitchen to refill some water, get a little bit more tea, you better believe the shoes are coming off. So we want to make sure that we are respecting whatever the home rules are, but there certainly are times where A, you definitely should not ask someone to take their shoes off in your home. What are some of those rules? Drop it in the chat when you think that someone should not be asking you to take your shoes off. A, if they have dogs that say shed a whole lot and there's dog hair all over, probably not, right? Because that's now going to make you uncomfortable. Also, if they live in a rustic farm kind of an environment where everyone does wear their shoes, why would you take off your shoes? Doesn't make sense. If they're not the one that's actually scrubbing floors every day or cleaning the floors, and there's dogs and kids running through from the backyard through the front door, and there's mud tracking and it's a rainy day, why would you do that? Why would you take off your shoes, right? So if you're not taking off your shoes, it's like the golden rule, basically. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you, or as you do yourself unto yourself. Okay. Well, that's a little tricky. We may need to edit that, but you get what I'm saying. Where it doesn't work, that doesn't work in every single situation. But in this one, with removing the shoes, it certainly does. All right. Is it rude to ask people to take off their shoes? No, I don't think so. We all have our own rules in our home, what we feel comfortable with. So if that's what it is, now that's what it is. However, there is a way to ask people to do so. First off, I would say if you do have a no shoes in the house rule, then make sure that you are letting people know this before they do come to your home. How do you do that? When you're doing the invite, you can let them know, okay, make sure you bring some socks or slippers along with you because we do have like a no shoes in the house rule, right? Um, Also, just by having your shoes lined up wherever they come in, that can let them know that visual cue. Okay, now like take off your shoes in the house. But I would say the best thing to do is A, let them know beforehand, so that way they can have the appropriate socks, no holes in their socks, or making sure both socks match. They can do whatever tea tree treatments they need to do with their feet as well. Do a little mani-pedi as well before they come into the house so they can feel comfortable. That's the key with etiquette. You want to make sure it's not about you being better than someone else, or, you making someone feel lower than you. It's about being comfortable and making others comfortable as well in any situation. So that's a great rule. What can you do for those that maybe missed the memo or are just coming to your home and you weren't quite expecting them? You can either have slippers available, or like my mom does, you can have shoe covers, something like that you would have maybe say if the painter came to your house, or someone that cleans for you, or like doctors wear like with their scrubs so that they're not tracking germs or dirt throughout the hospital towards patients. Same type of situation. So if you have requirements or rules for someone, help them actually reach those requirements without it being too much of a burden on them. So those are some rules as far as how to get around the no shoe rule. Any questions? Like hop in that chat. Any experiences? Let me know. This is a dialogue here as well. Can you refuse to take off your shoes at someone else's home? Ooh, wow. This is a tough one. When you're thinking about etiquette, you don't ever want to outright refuse because now here we go. We'll have a conflict resolution talk at some other point. But you are able, of course, say maybe if you may want to go like with the medical issue with this one here, explain why you wouldn't do it in front of everybody, because that's just kind of it could start a little battle of the no shoes versus the shoes, because I'm quite sure you won't be the only one opposed to no shoes, right? So instead, maybe quietly, take them to the side, keeping your voice in a lower register. And if there really is a legitimate reason why you don't want to remove your shoes, or maybe you do have a hole in your socks, perhaps they can accommodate you and get you another pair of socks so that you're comfortable. But especially if they have those shoe covers, like what's the problem? Why can't you cover your shoes? I mean, we all like to rock beautiful shoes, but I don't think that's the right reason. Like, oh no, why would I cover up my beautiful shoes? Like, just because you don't want shoes in your house, be respectful, going forward, then you know whether or not you would accept an invitation to their home based on that. But the first time, just try to be amenable by all means. Okay. How to navigate the no shoe rule. Definitely jump in the bottom in the chat right there. Any comments? How do you navigate this rule? I'd love to hear what you have to say on this. And beforehand, that's really the key. This happens all too often. So I would say it's always best to ask a question if you do not know. So if you're not quite sure, you're going somewhere, ask them, oh, do you have like a no shoe rule just so I can make sure that I do pack some socks for the kids or for myself, right? And then you have all your bases covered. Excellent. So if you're still here with me, still by now, we're moving on to question three. But thanks so much for being a part of this episode of Ask Aunt Bougie. Please do click on that like button as well as subscribe so that way you'll get notifications and you won't miss our next episodes. Like I said, I'll be here every Tuesday and Thursday during the afternoon tea hour. And definitely you'll either be live or it'll be a live premiere where we can interact with one another as well. So question three. I mentioned my mom a little bit earlier. Okay, like she definitely has the shoe covers. And she also said, Tania, Tania, Tania. That's my name, Auntie Tania. She said she doesn't call me Auntie Bougie. I'm still Tania to my mom. But she said, the powder room. Please go over the powder room. People often, whether it be in a public, so say if you're going to an event at a restaurant with a group this weekend to celebrate spring, and the festivities and the holidays along with it, or if you're in someone's home. People just really don't know what to do with the powder room. So, what is a powder room? A powder room is a nice, elegant, delicate way of saying a bathroom. Traditionally, a bathroom needs to have a bath in it, somewhere where you can shower, or there's actually a bathtub. That powder room would be the half bath that we would see listed, right? So it has a sink, it has the toilet, and that's that, right? This is really where your guests should be going. Also, instead of saying, oh, I need to go to the bathroom, I'm going to the bathroom, you should never announce where you're going, of course, right? Because who needs to have that visual picture of what's happening behind those doors? But you can say, I'm going to the powder room, or the ladies. That's what I tend to say. I'm going to hop over to the ladies' room or the gentleman's room, whatever it may be. Or don't even announce it. Just say, excuse me, just excuse yourself, and people know, okay, they're going to relieve themselves, and that's that. But the powder room is really where you want to make sure that you are leaving that open for your guests for that reason. Why? It's great for you because your intimate rooms are still your intimate rooms. When you do have guests over, you want to make sure, I would say, I like to actually go to my own, bathroom because it is a bathroom. I like to go to my own bathroom. It's a nice way where I can kind of woosah, collect myself, gather, maybe have a little chuckle alone. Who knows? I laugh a lot, right? But you're able just to chill out and then come back, fix your makeup, fix your hair, whatever it may be, and then go back renewed to, continue your hostess duty. Also, most people don't have I mean, if you do, good for you. I'll be right there with you as far as how many powder rooms that you do have or guest bathrooms that you do have in your home. But why use that when now there could be a line, right? So always making sure that you're thinking about your guests and their needs as well. Use your own, leave the powder room for the guest. Okay. So three little different points as far as that powder room, whether you're the guest or whether you're the hostess. First, let's start with the hostess. I would say even when you're not entertaining, maybe use this room a little bit less sparingly. You do have, especially if you do have other, like, bathrooms available. Why? So if your aunt just decides to drop in out of nowhere because she was just, down the road and she has to go to the bathroom and immediately, you're not now embarrassed, like, oh my gosh, is there a fresh towel in there? Oh, did I clean the toilet? Is like the hardware actually shining or are there like water stains and spots on it? That is a room that should always just basically be immaculate. Showroom ready, just ready for whoever's about to jump in. Okay. That's all I really got for the host right there. If you are a guest, rules in the powder room, host as well. My mom this coming from my mom, I usually don't like to talk about these things. So if I'm umming and using a lot of verbal fillers, it's because I'm a little uncomfortable, but not really. It's a fact of life. So let's get it. I'm a big girl. Poopery. I think we've all heard of poopery. It's a little spray that you can use, all nice and natural ingredients, and you spray, you plop, flush method, and you're good. Nobody knows your business. Nobody has to light a match. It's a nice way of going about the unexpected. That's another thing. Some people in public places, they're just used to doing it. They don't care. There's no respect for the public place. Um, think about the next person. That's all I'm going to say about that, right? Because we already know this is a little uncomfortable for me. Think about the next person that may have to come in after you. All right. So poopery, whether you're a hostess, always have that available right there on the commode so someone is able to do a little spritz. And back in like France, people actually would just use like an essential oil, place it in the water, and then things don't smell as quite as bad. But poopery, incredible. Everybody should have it in their home. And I'm not getting paid to say this by any means, just a user. Okay. Um, the second way that we can, definitely help with this, the plop flush method. Plop, flush. That way you're not fumigating the entire bathroom or powder room, right? Same situation. I don't care if you're at the airport. I don't care if you're at the restaurant. I don't care if you're at your grandma's house. Okay. Make sure that you're using one of the two or why not both? Okay. Methods. Just things that we should think about. We should be concerned about for sure. Okay. Because if you're thinking about image, when you walk out there and there's like the cartoony odor following you, that's not how you want to be remembered. I know that's not how I want to be remembered, right? So thinking about that, especially since we're always concerned about that image. Number three, okay, campsite rules. This isn't for my mom because she's never gone camping. She's like, Camp Hilton is my bit, okay? But I do enjoy camping. Now, campsite rules is you're gonna always leave the site better than you found it, okay? Same thing with the powder room or any bathroom. You want to make sure that when you go in, you're taking care, you're doing whatever your business is, but you want to make sure that if you left droplets of water on the vanity, please do wipe it up by all means. If there's a towel, hand towel, now I would say if there's a nice decorative hand towel, but there's also paper towels. Please use the paper towels. Put that in the garbage before you put it in the garbage. Wipe around the actual sink, taking any kind of like water droplets, nice and shiny and pristine, right? Leave it nice for the person that's coming in after you. If you're a gentleman, make sure you check the floor, make sure you're checking that toilet seat, put the toilet seat back down, pay it forward a bit. Same thing with ladies. Always just making sure that you're leaving that site better than you found it. Even if you went in and the other person didn't do so, maybe you want to clean it up a bit. Why? Because the person that goes in after you, they're not going to be like, oh, it was Johnny that went in before TT, right? Nah, like TT's the one that made the mess in there. So just always being aware of that for sure. Okay. I think I'm good. I got off of this question so I can relax a little bit. I can have a sip of tea and I can chill out a little. I got out of the powder room. All right, question number four. Oh, before we move on to that, so that whole little adage about like let me powder my nose, right? That's you go into the powder room to powder your nose. So that's where the term powder room came. Like you're not going in there to take a bath. You're not going in there to take a shower. You're going in there just to primp up, right? Powder your nose, make sure you're not shining. So yeah, just a little cultural tip there as well. So you have that in your back pocket. Just the random knowledge. Okay. All right. So last but not least, the dress code. So, knowing what to wear to a gathering. Have you ever been to a place, whether it's like a friend's house, and you're like, okay, this is great. Like I'm ready to go. Like you're all dressed to the nines, and then everyone just has pajamas on. You had no idea. It was like a pajama and movie night, right? You had no idea what's happening. Once again, talk to your hostess. Find out, okay, well, what are the plans? What are people wearing? Or if you're like me, just go as yourself. Like I always dress the way that I dress. I very well may dress like this at movie night. Actually, fun story with one of my girlfriends when I was still back in Phoenix. She's like, oh yeah, like, we'll just chill, have a movie night. We can have like a sleepover afterwards. We'll go out, then everyone come back. Like, we'll change into our like pajamas. Everyone legit had like, shorts and t-shirts on. I actually had like a nice little negligee, something cute. I mean, not inappropriate by any means, but it was like a little three-piece with a little robe over it. But that was okay. Someone else may have been embarrassed, but I'm like, okay, well, this is what I wear to bed. Like this is just me. So that's a good key. Always just make sure that you're comfortable and that you are yourself. But you also don't want to say if there were guys coming over or it was like a co-ed thing, I may have felt inappropriate or uncomfortable, right? So maybe you always have a backup too, thinking of that. But you can always ask, okay, well, what is the dress code? If it's a backyard barbecue and swim party, you may not want to have a floor length gown on, right? That it doesn't make any sense. You may not want to have like a sweater on if it's going to be an outdoor party in the springtime. Whereas if it's an indoor party in the summertime and you're going to be inside, that AC is cranking, you may want to wear something a little bit more appropriate, not the spaghetti strap dress, because you're going to be freezing, right? And everyone is going to know if you get my drift. So, always just checking in. And then with the hostess, knowing what type of events or activities are going to be scheduled within that period of time. And then also, I would say, lastly, always ask yourself, what impression you want to make and have everyone take with them forevermore, right? So whether it be photos that we're posing for, or whether it's just, that 70-second like first impression, and everyone's gonna be like, oh yeah, remember when they wore the fur to like the football, like everybody was wearing football jerseys or basketball jerseys, and like they had their fur shrug on. Like, what was that about? Like that was a lot, right? So just making sure that, it makes sense. Still be you. I'm always going to say be you. Do you, boo boo. But make sure that it makes sense for the event or the activities that you're also undergoing and experiencing and sharing with the group. All right, so this is our last question, and then we're going to sign off. Any questions? Thank you so much for jumping in the chat there and adding things, like having a lot of fun, actually going back and forth with you all. Any questions that you have for Thursday, definitely, whether it's a follow-up question to what we're going over now or a completely new question, I'll definitely address them like I'm doing with these questions on Thursday or next week, Tuesday, when we get to them. So thank you. Thank you for jumping in there. Looking forward to, answering more. So our last question is leftovers and goodbyes. So we've all been up to the party where either there's leftovers. We know that. Some people live for leftovers, right? They come with their extra little baggies, their Ziploc baggies, like, okay, I'm ready for the leftovers, right? That's what it's about for them. We want to make sure that we do not hog the leftovers, okay? I know if I'm cooking or if I'm hosting a party, I'm pretty much probably not going to eat much because I don't know why, but when I cook, it's like, I don't know, somehow that's filling me anyway. Maybe I'm just tired. Who knows? I maybe seek professional help with that. But I'm usually not hungry and I'm just tired. So I may be like, okay, yeah, no, like I've seen enough food. Like, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. But I'll tell you what happens the next day or the next afternoon, like when I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm tired. My feet are hurting. You think I'm trying to go back in the kitchen and cook again? Absolutely not. Those leftovers would have been helpful, even though I'm like, no, go ahead. I just want to sit here and not do anything, right? So take what you want. Like, I don't care. I also don't want to clean up, right? So oftentimes we make decisions in our weariness that we regret the morning after. So make sure, even so, if you do have a hostess, your hostess, that this kind of happens with them. I would say make sure that you are maybe like how you would make a plate for somebody. Maybe make a container or a few containers for them and then put it away so that they have that there. They don't have to worry about actually cutting the meat or doing this or putting it away. They can just relax and, enjoy your company. So that's something I would definitely say. You don't want to hog all the leftovers even if they say it is okay. Offer to help with the cleanup. But do know that no means no. So, like we said in the beginning, some people definitely have a particular procedure, or maybe they have very expensive items and they'd be devastated if there was a chip, or maybe they're very organized and everything goes in a certain place, right? You don't want to be responsible for that, especially if people have been, you know, enjoying in the libations and whatnot. You would not be the one to be the one that like had Butterfingers with the family heirloom. Okay. So no means no, especially if they have someone that's actually there and dedicated to help with cleanup, whether it's a hired caterer or maybe it's their daughter that helps with everything and knows where everything goes. And they just have a preferred way of cleaning certain things. Not everything gets washed or gets, put it in the dishwasher or is washed with the same way. So just if they say no, okay, by all means, you can ask maybe again, but don't just insist on helping out because you can be more of a hindrance or a bother at that point. So maybe just help with, okay, well, let me put some coffee on. If they're okay with that, go ahead and do that. You can find if you're a helper, I'm a helper. I also like to be helped too. But, find your place and find a role that actually works along with what the host or the hostess, needs at that moment as well. Okay. Now, knowing when it's time to leave. So there's always those telltale signs. I think we all have the friend that, stays like a lot longer and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm tired. I gotta go. And like just slowly we see everyone moving towards the door, or everyone has their coats on and it's like an hour later they tell the kids, okay, get ready, get ready, get ready. Now you're all just sitting there and standing there, still talking an hour later with your coats on by the door. Great ways to know that it's time to go. People start looking at their watch. Okay. Before they do that, that's actually maybe like the second or third sign before they do that. Oh, would anyone like tea or coffee? Okay. That's like a number one sign. Okay, we're getting in there. That the evening's wrapping up. Another way is they actually have you move from one room to the next room. That's another indicator that they probably don't want you cleaning up. So say if you're eating in the dining room and it's like, okay, everyone, let's go to the great room per chat, or like the living room, the formal living room. They're actually getting you closer to what? To the door. All right. Giving you that coffee, that tea, helps you sober up, get it together so that you can go home. All right. We want to make sure that we are not overstaying our welcome. If you do find that one of your hostesses, or like say if it's a couple and one of them just kind of disappears and you don't see them again, they probably went to sleep. They're giving you a very big hint. So get the hint. Unless you've already made arrangements, beforehand that you're spending the night. But even then, even if you are spending the night, people need their rest. I know I do. I like 9 hours every night. Okay. So make sure that you do still, thank them for everything, make your way, even if you're not going to bed, allow them to go to bed if that's what they like to do. So, another thing as far as departures and leaving, if you do know you have to leave an occasion or a party early, make sure you let your host actually know that beforehand. You don't want to get to a party and then all of a sudden 15 minutes later be like, oh, I have to go early, like something came up. Unless something really did come up. Like, I don't know, maybe if you're a doctor and you're on call, but even then you should let them know. Because what it seems like to the hostess is, okay, it was cool for you to come or for you to get what you wanted, like fix that plate, right? But then now you're ready to go and you're not spending time. When someone invites you somewhere, it's because they actually want to spend time with you. So just be cognizant of that. Let them know beforehand. Now, if something came up, that, life happens. We understand that. It's great that you did show up and you did arrive, but let them know at least like when you do arrive that unfortunately something came up and you will have to leave a little earlier. Before you do leave, make sure you say goodbye to your hostess. If they're engrossed in conversation or everyone else, you don't have to make a scene of it, because I'm sure there are maybe some other guests that are like, oh, well, they're leaving. Like, let me leave too. Because sometimes people do go to functions that they rather not be at. Don't, be the beginner of that trend. But definitely always make sure that you do say goodbye. You want to make sure that you don't just appear and everyone's like, oh, hey, where's Eddie? Where did Eddie go? All right. So that's just like salutations. When you arrive somewhere, you greet everyone. When you leave, you give your salutations, your goodbyes, and we had a great time. Good seeing you again. All of those things. Okay. So thank you so much. Those were the questions. We did 5 questions today. If you have anything, drop them in the comments there. We'll be on a little bit longer. All of your questions as well. I'm going to read through them and make sure that I do get to them for our next episode of Ask Aunt Bougie. It's been a lot of fun today. I am your dedicated lifestylist, a certified master image and etiquette consultant, an inside life coach practitioner. I do this every day, all day. Like I love it. This is my work play, my dream job. By all means, doesn't even feel like work. You okay? That's Basie. Watching me there, chill out, Basie. But you will see my website. I'm gonna keep it nice and short now. You will see my website as well in the description. So click on there. I do give discovery call sessions as well, so you can find out a little bit more about what it'd be like working together and completely complimentary. And we can see if we'd be a good fit and click and are able to partner together to help style your life. I'll see you next Thursday, or actually this Thursday, one day in between. Have a great evening and talk to you soon. Remember, strive and thrive.